Hey everyone, welcome to the Rick Richards Show. I am, of course, your host, Rick Richards. Today is May 25th, 2020, and you can see I am sporting a fresh haircut. A fresh haircut. Looks good, huh? Gotta get that gray. I was turning into a bit of a silver fox. I know the old spinsters and the widowers, or widows. The old widows and spinsters really liked it. They called me the silver fox, but hey, man, got to stay up to date. So we are pivoting. As I mentioned before, we are going to go to a new format now for the next month, probably. And we're going to be talking about how to flatten the curve. Not the COVID curve, but the gut, the belly, the bum, whatever it is. Weight loss in the time of COVID. A lot of people are getting super fat. And it's a bit of a problem, right? So we are going to have a guest. Our guest is a web designer. He does art websites. And his name is Jackson. Company is Post Idol. And Jackson has, we're going to bring him on in the call in a few minutes. And getting kind of chunky, like a lot of us can get, right? And so we're going to walk him through it. And you guys can all join along. You can hit us up with questions. You can follow along. And hopefully you have the same results. The more people that follow along, the better. I would like it if we all kind of start this in real time. And we all get great results over a month, right? And I know you will too. I know you will. I will hook you up, okay? But first, the show is brought to you by Athletic Alliance Burner. Burner is a weight loss product. It facilitates in the transport of fat from inside the cells to outside the cells in the form of energy. And it comes and it suppresses appetite, and it comes with this baby, the Burner Blueprint, which is a booklet that outlines a diet meal plan for a cyclical ketogenic diet, which you can modify to suit your taste. So let's bring Jackson in. Where are you, Jackson? Jackson.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Hit the mute button.
I'm showing I'm good.
I can see you, but I can't hear you. There. Whoop. Yes.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I like that background there.
Yeah, you like that? It was a little smoky, huh?
Yeah, it's a little smoky. It looks like you're in a prison courtyard or something. Cement wall in the background.
Came prepared.
Yes, you came prepared. You're well lit. I like it, man. I like it. I like the professional.
Nice natural lighting.
Yeah. So, Jackson.
Yeah.
We're already recording. I have kind of briefed everybody on your situation, and I thought it would be good for us all to talk about how we get into this situation. I mean, this whole COVID thing. I mean, it's sort of, you would call it an outlier or a black swan event, right? And it's kind of exacerbated problems for people being a little less active, eating more bored, stuff like that, right? But I mean, weight loss, gaining fat, it kind of, it's kind of an ongoing problem. So if you want, can you take us through how sort of where you got to where you are now, and just in terms of weight gain? I'll do the same thing because I've recently just lost weight as well. And yeah, kick us off, Jackson.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, growing up, like I was always really skinny, small. I was a small guy. And so then around 24, 25, 26, I started getting a little bit of a punch, and I started filling out bigger, and I kind of liked it. Because I was like, hey, I'm finally not the small little guy anymore. And, I kept liking it. And then I liked it too much. And all of a sudden it was like a train off the rails. Like it just kind of kept going. I'm like, okay, now I'm not liking this anymore. I'm having breathing problems. I wind myself to tie my shoes. I subconsciously would avoid doing certain activities with my kids because of my weight. I didn't realize that was why. I was just kind of cranky. Yeah, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I realized it's because I'm not comfortable doing it. I feel I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to become a sweaty mess. I'm going to be breathing heavy, and, my wife's gonna be taking pictures and I'm gonna be looking like hell and whatever, right?
Mm.
So my mom passed away in 2010, and she was quite overweight. She had diabetes. Diabetes runs in my family. Overweight runs in my family. And when I say overweight, I'm not talking like, massive, like just not, well, my mom was pretty big, but I'm not talking massive. I'm talking like for our size, you'd look at us and definitely say, oh yeah, okay, they definitely need to lose some weight. But you wouldn't be like shocked walking down the street, nothing crazy like that. But she, her and my, even my grandpa who passed away, he died of diabetes complications, everything. And he was kind of overweight, and it runs in my mom's side of the family. And I have to be the one to break that cycle. I gotta, I can't, we've got our latest daughter, she's 2, and it's like, she keeps me running around, but it's like, I have to, lose the weight. And so now, and then the closer I'm getting, I'm 45 now, the closer I'm getting to my mom's age of 55 when she passed away, the more it's scaring me. It's kind of like, I don't want to be I don't want to have the same ingredients that put her where it put her,
Yeah. It's, it's funny because your situation is really similar to mine. We see so many of these shows, like, My 600-Pound Life and, that sort of thing. Right. And you see these stories of these people that were, just massive their whole lives, and they have some real severe kind of disorder, and it sort of gives you kind of a false perception about how people get into that situation. And I had my story, my own self. I was I was a jock, right? Like, I had a 6-pack abs in high school. I played sports. I didn't even think about being fat, right? I wore tight jeans. I played, and the same sort of thing too, right? Like, if I got a little bit bigger, I was working out, and if I got a little bit bigger, 10 pounds heavier, 7 of it maybe muscle and 3 of it fat, I didn't care, right? I was cracking 200 pounds, and I was getting bigger and being more substantial and things like that. And personally, I'd always sort of gravitated into sports where size was kind of a requirement, because I'm a big guy naturally, right?
Yeah.
And like football, and then wrestling, and then powerlifting. And so I actively tried to put on weight. And whenever I wanted to lose weight, I had a fast enough metabolism that, a little attention here and there, and boom, it would come off. And so I never really considered it a problem. But in the last 5 or 6 years, so I stopped powerlifting competitively in 2015. And I had put everything into this, and I'd gotten myself up and over 300 pounds, which I'd never done before, right? But I was absolutely the strongest I had ever been in my life. And so after that, my mindset was kind of, okay, well, yeah, I'll lose some weight, I'll go back down to a normal size, a size where you can walk into a store, and if something looks good, you can actually buy it and wear it, rather than thinking, oh, damn, this doesn't fit me again, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? It just kind of crept on me, right? Like, I started.
It's not me.
We have an emergency call. Oh, actually, that's not an emergency. That's just a basic call, right? So yeah, it kind of creeps up on you. And I found myself starting to get some, what you would call fat man problems, right?
Yeah.
Like things that I thought were just a result of getting older. I would get, my knee would start hurting. Sometimes my hip would hurt, and things like that. And I thought, oh, well, I'm in my late 40s. Of course, this kind of stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then,
did you even get, trouble sleeping? Like, I find I'm uncomfortable sleeping even.
Yeah, well, you know what? I make a sleep product. So I was able with Sandman, and I was able to deal with that.
Yeah.
But like just little things start. My blood pressure would be high most of the time. And like you say, it really resonated with me when you said, there was stuff your kids wanted you to do, you wouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would go through a very similar thing. It's not because I couldn't, right? Like, I can walk up a flight of stairs. I can go for a walk through a park. But for me, it was no longer pleasant, right? It was more just an ordeal. Okay, if it's hot, I'm going to sweat. I'd rather just sit on the couch and watch something, right? And I just found myself becoming more and more lazy, less and less active, and just using mild kind of excuses to avoid a lot of life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, clothes don't fit, and we wear sweatpants and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to kind of put off these things, isn't there?
I literally have shirts that I bought because I thought, oh, they're badass. And when I put them on, I was kind of like, they're like a little form fitting. Whereas if I had a decent body, yeah, they'd look pretty good. But I look like a bag of potatoes, So it's kind of like, so I've got like brand new shirts that I've got sitting in my closet that I can't wait to wear because now they're almost becoming retro because they're not even on the shelves anymore.
Yeah, you can say, look at this perfectly preserved t-shirt, right?
Might just sell them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that it's even just the small things, right? Like I notice when I look in the mirror, even I'm getting fat cheeks. I'm getting, fat here, and you're right. You hit on the point of like blaming it on age and I was thinking, okay, well, I'm 45. I'm going on to 50 now. And like, yeah, okay, it's going to happen. We knew it was coming, blah, 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 blah. But then it's like, I see some people, in their 50s and beyond, and they look way better than I do. And it's just like, okay, wait a second. No, maybe I can do something about this. Right.
Have you had any kind of like shocking moments where you see a picture of yourself and you're like, holy shit, do I look that fat? Or, you get on the scale and you're like, fuck, is this thing working properly?
Yeah. Yeah. When I just recently installed the Ring Cam, we were doing a bunch of video doorbell. We were doing a bunch of little tests, and I went back and looked at the screenshot, and I was like, holy crap. Like, I look like a freaking, like I didn't realize it was on. So I wasn't holding it in. I was like, geez, I honestly thought it was a courier bringing me a package.
It ended up being me at my door.
I was like, I don't remember that guy being there. Holy crap. That was the most recent shock. The weird thing I find too, though, is it's been going on so long that when I first gained some extra weight, my ankles started to hurt, and I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or something like that, and I would literally have to kind of waddle almost because my ankles hurt. But what made it worse is my body got used to that, so then it took away a bit of desperation.
Yeah.
Now I'm not desperate. It doesn't hurt no more, right? And so now it's kind of getting to the point like even more where it's like, okay, now they're hurting again. And in the first thing in the morning, I'm stiff and I kind of have to waddle a little bit almost, and like I say, to see me, you could tell I need to lose weight, but I'm not, we're not talking a big, forklift situation here, and it's the little things. It's the little things that just get me,
Well, yeah. And you know what? The amazing thing is too, you'll find that just you lose 20 pounds and you feel way, way better, right? Like,
yeah.
You don't have to lose 100 pounds. You don't have to get this lap band surgery, and I'm not saying there's no place. And by the way, I am 100% not a doctor. I am not a registered dietitian. I'm just an asshole. Okay. So listen to me or don't listen to me, right? I'm just a results guy. Nothing I say constitutes medical advice. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Almost everybody that wants to lose weight has lost weight at some time in the past and has gained it back.
Yeah. So
what allowed you to be successful when you lost weight in the past, and what would you say contributed to you gaining it back?
Well, I would always lean towards a keto type diet. And there was always a desperation. It was always before going away or something. It was, before going to Hawaii, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a sweaty mess. This trip costs a fortune. I'm not going to be a sweaty mess on the beaches of Hawaii. And, and sure enough, day we left, I got down to a decent weight. And when we were there, it was great. I look at pictures right now, and it's like, I look and I see, okay, I still needed to lose a little bit more. But I remember actually being there and thinking of the heat we were in and the humidity we were in and thinking, wow, I should really be pouring sweat, but I'm not. So it was good because that desperation got me to do it. But then when I'm there, when I'm on the trip, I'm eating Moco Loco like it's going out of style. I'm like just going nuts, eating everything under the sun, not giving a crap, like almost like I earned this.
Mhm.
But we were gone for a week, so I took it way too far. And that's usually what happens is then there's not usually a desperation. um, we moved away a couple of years ago, so we haven't gone on any big trips recently. So that desperation isn't there. But now the desperation, since having my daughter, I have 3 kids. So since having my newest daughter, I'm kind of like, okay, that's the desperation I need to do. That's the inspiration that I have to focus on. I can't wait for a desperation moment. This is my desperation moment.
Yeah. So when you were on this sort of diet in the past, was there anything about it that told you that this is unsustainable, or was it sustainable for you? Like, I mean, you obviously didn't sustain it. You went off at one point, but was the diet itself, was it something that you thought to yourself, oh man, I can't wait to get off this, or I can't hold out much longer on this?
My ultimate, no, actually, the diet itself, after I got over the hump, sticking to something like that was fairly easy. What would derail me sometimes would be, just things in my personal life where it's just like usually a stress thing. They'll just kind of throw me in, and I never looked at it as stress eating, but maybe that would. At least I didn't think it was.
Well, I think stress eating is a big thing, and it's a much bigger thing than it used to be, because if you look at it, it's the one, I mean, a lot of us in the way we work now, we just, we're always on, we get shit on all day long, every day. We're putting out problems, we have, chaotic things going on all around us. So, I mean, it's a sort of a temporary relief, right? Where you get what you pay for, you get that instant gratification, you get some satisfaction, and, you're happy in the moment. Right. It's like almost any drug, you can feel like a bag of shit, I'm sure. And if you're a cocaine addict, right. And then once you get a hit, you feel great for the next, I don't know, however long it is. But, obviously you have to deal with the consequences. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I think my ultimate goal is to, go, the keto route, focusing. I find when I try, I really focus heavy on meat, which, again, in my age now, has always been a bit of a concern, because you hear don't eat so much meat, it goes in your colon, sits there for whatever, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my ultimate goal would be to get down to the weight and then transition the diet to be more heavy on the veggie side of things. Still have some meat, but counterbalance and go back a little bit more heavy on the veggie side of things. And I find when I'm doing something like this, this diet, it's that feels and looks like the way that I would be able to maintain
Right.
quite well.
Okay.
I just never seem to fully get there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The two things the two groundbreaking things that I've really been working on is, number one, how to maintain this long term. And number two, well, I guess maybe this should be number one, is how to bust through plateaus. Like, you see a lot of people, their weight loss stalls at a certain point, and they hit a plateau, and that kind of discourages them. And then they go off, or they try doing some wacky stuff, and that kind of derails everything. So those are the two things I've determined that are the real progress stoppers or lifestyle stoppers. And that's what we're going to address. So let's start getting into the nuts and bolts now. So as of this morning, how much do you weigh?
Okay, so I'm going to do a little weigh in here. Starting weight. 220, 225.
225?
Yeah.
We didn't hit that 230.
I did not hit 230.
Oh,
and I was eating pretty heavy this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a bright.
It was my last supper.
Yes. And you know what? The bright side to that is your metabolism is going to be, it's going to be revving sky high. So you should get results pretty quickly.
Cool.
So I'm going to lay out a basic guideline for you, what I want you to do, and then you just hit me with any questions. Okay.
Okay.
We'll run this for the next week.
Okay.
So for the first week, your purpose is to convert yourself from glycogen burning to fat burning, right?
Right.
So what that means is our goal for the first week is there's no calorie restriction or calorie limitation. We're just looking at a metabolic switch, right?
Yep.
And the way we'll achieve that through two ways. One is by you taking this keto product, because that puts you in ketosis instantly.
Okay.
And the other is by eliminating carbs, right? You need to get down to less than, I would say, 30 grams of carbs a day. All your carbs should come from, and this is net carbs. So fiber is okay. A lot of time, here's the difference between carbs and net carbs. Certain things like, let's say a slice of bread, you'll see it'll have, say 30 grams of carbs in a slice, right? But of those 30 grams of carbs, 10 grams are fiber. And fiber has no insulin impact on you, right? In terms of raising blood sugar. It just essentially passes through your system, right? So you would eliminate those 10 carbs and say, okay, I got 20 grams of carbs, right? Of net carbs. So that's what actually has the biological impact, or the, not biological, because fiber does impact you biologically, but the blood sugar impact is the net carbs only. So we want to be, for now and for the next week, we want to be 30 grams or less per day. You can eat when you want. You can eat whatever you want, as long as it is zero carb, and you can eat as much as you want. Okay.
Is there a time window like that actually stop eating?
We're not gonna put any time limitations on until you feel like you're ready for them, right?
And do I have to force eating? That would be another thing, because sometimes I'll wake up, and if I have a cup of coffee, I honestly could possibly go to noon without eating.
Well, that'll be great if you can do that, because that's what we're going to be doing. And as things get a little more advanced, we're going to be going for those longer stretches.
Okay.
Here's the thing I would say. Yeah, eventually we want to, eventually we're going to want to confine your eating into about a 6-hour window, from 10 till about 6.
Okay.
And that's when you'll have your insulin ebbs and flows, which will be minimized anyways if you're on keto. But the rest of the time, from 6 right around till the next morning, you will be burning fat. That's all about having that insulin down, and you'll be burning fat, dietary fat, and then body fat, right?
Okay.
And being hungry is not a bad thing. We have this kind of, we see in society now, like you have a little kid, right?
Yeah.
When you were a kid, did you have to go everywhere with a damn snack in your bag? No. Like, I mean, if you have a kid's activity now that lasts for even an hour, they'll have a snack break, fucking snack break in there, man, or a water break. And I get the purpose of being hydrated, but everybody can go an hour without eating and drinking, for Christ's sake, man. And this is part of the problem, right? Like, we all feel we have to constantly be fucking eating something. Yeah. And if you look at the evolutionary adaptations that the body made were ideal, right? If you were living, and this is how we lived for, 100,000 years or more, but you would be living in a tribe, right? And you aren't going to have a snack every half hour or every hour. You would have to go kill something. And when you killed something, you would eat, and you would eat well. But then you would have to be adapted to periods where you weren't eating anything, right? And I mean, a lot of people will say, yeah, that was completely low carb back then. Not really. I mean, people would have access in much smaller quantities to things like berries, of course, probably honey, but it would come in and it would serve its purpose.
Right.
But yeah, so two things about this is that hunger is not bad, right? Number two, hunger comes in waves. So you'll get periods where you're hungry, and then even if you don't eat anything, that hunger will pass, right? And remember this, you have a lot of stored body fat. I have a lot of stored body fat. Just about everybody does, even a lean person. Like, let's say you're a 200-pound man with 15% body fat. That would be pretty good shape for a 200-pound man. That would be 30 pounds of fat, okay? 30 pounds of fat. If you burn, say, 3,000 calories a day, which would be a lot for a 200-pound man, 30 pounds, there's 3,500 calories per pound. So that would be 35,070, 105,000 calories you have. So, I mean, essentially, that's what, over a month. right? You have enough energy to last you over a month. And
Yeah.
that's a lean person, right? So, I mean, the rest of us, we have months worth of energy on our bodies. So we don't have to worry about being hunger if we can tough it out, right? And the other side to that is when you're eating, even if you're eating protein, you are going to have some kind of insulin spike. And our job, what you have a situation that's very, very common to middle-aged guys, guys probably after the age of, mid-30s, I would say. And that's metabolic syndrome. And I get it, just about every guy does. And a lot of women do too. And what metabolic syndrome is, it's the thickening of the waist, the gut, that kind of stuff. That's where you put on your weight. And then you start to get the secondary effects like higher blood pressure, higher, poor circulation, all these things kind of come as a part of metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome results from insulin resistance. Insulin resistance comes from constantly spiking insulin, right? So it's eating too many foods that spike your insulin and eating too often, right? Okay. So, but the first week, the first week is all about just getting you into ketosis. And if that's an easy piece of cake for you, then you can start ratcheting things up right away.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, usually getting into ketosis, like I say, I've done so much flip-flopping, just no structure, that I think I told you before, my body like literally is like, oh, we're doing this again? Okay, let's go, and it usually happens pretty quickly. And I got, I've got keto sticks to do the whole testing. But is there, I don't know if I have any questions at the moment, to be honest. I think, I think, okay, if I switch early, is there something else I should be doing?
If you switch early and you're having no problems, then we're going to start tightening up your eating window, right? Like when do you usually eat your first meal?
It'll either be first thing in the morning and I'll have some eggs, or like say if I have a coffee or something, then it might not be till noon.
Okay. So here's what we'll do. If you get through this adaptation the first week and you're not having any difficulties, then we'll start moving into phase 2 fairly quickly. Okay. And here's what phase 2 would be. So when you first wake up or when you have your morning coffee, that's when you take the burner with you.
Okay.
That starts mobilizing the fat stores.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move up. Then we're going to start tightening your eating window, right?
Okay.
And you can adjust this how you see fit. I mean, if you get super hungry at 10 a.m., then you know what? Have your first meal at 10 a.m. if it makes life easier for you. And then have your last one at say 4, right? But we want to tighten up your eating window to about a 6-hour period. And we're going to tighten up your meals to 2 meals.
Okay.
So the first meal, I want you to go with just protein.
Okay.
So make a protein drink with the Hydro Pro.
Okay.
And then you can eat whatever you want about an hour after that. Like you can eat your bacon, your whatever you want that's keto. Eat it about an hour after that. But just start off with protein as the first meal.
This is in phase 2?
Yeah, as soon as you feel like you've adapted and your body is burning fat. The ketone testers will let you know that if you're in ketosis. And once the switch has been done, they're not always accurate. Sometimes you just don't have ketones in your blood system or your urine just because you've used them all up as energy. But for the most part, they're pretty accurate.
And I did think of one question. Sugar-free pops and stuff. What's your take on that? Like Coke Zero?
Use them in moderation. If they make life more bearable. I mean, I pound that stuff back, and it hasn't slowed me down. You will get an insulin spike. Like I have noticed that products with sucralose, they can knock you out of ketosis.
Okay. So
they can do that, but there's no calorie impact, right? So they're kind of I consider them kind of a mid-ground. I know people have varying opinions on this, but I have tried, I have used them and I've tested them and they haven't stalled my weight loss in any sense. They do pull me out of ketosis on occasion though.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So limit it to a few a day. Don't go nuts, like maybe 4 or less a day, something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be the only question, because although I'm trying to wean off of pop, it's still in the house.
Yeah, well, if it's sugar free, that's okay. You know, have 4 a day. You know, plan on when you're going to have them. Coffee is fine, right? Coffee is
Okay.
great.
Does caffeine play into this at all?
There's no negative impact from caffeine.
Okay.
Caffeine's fine, and as a matter of fact, it's beneficial a lot of times in killing hunger.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited.
Heavy cream is okay.
Oh yeah.
You know the stuff. Anybody can look up the stuff that they want to know.
Yeah.
What's ketogenic and what isn't, what has carbs, what doesn't. I mean, read your labels. I know a lot of people they assume things don't have any carbs in them, and they can sneak up, and you can find out. You got to be very careful with labels, because a serving size will not always be what you consider a serving. Like you may look at something and go, oh, wow, this only has 7 grams of carbs. And that 7 grams of carbs is per like 1 mouthful, right? Per 2 pieces of something. And you end up eating 7 or 8 pieces. And then you're like, oh shit, man. You know, so I mean, those little things can derail you. I think most people realize that now, though. I have more stuff on just the metabolism and metabolic rates and stuff like that, but I don't want to overburden it in this first one. I want people to absorb this kind of stuff and get started, right?
Okay, so this first week, should I be using any of the start or burner or anything like that yet?
Yeah, use the burner first thing in the morning or when you have your coffee.
Okay.
And this, yeah, and the start BHB, use that heavily at first when you get hungry.
Okay.
And before you eat.
And before you eat.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. I'm excited.
All right, man. And we'll touch base again next Monday, and we'll go over how everything's gone for you, what kind of roadblocks, any challenges, or if it's all success, right? And you were 225 this morning, right?
225, yeah.
Yes. And you're posting, you got pictures?
I took a video this morning, yeah.
Oh,
it might be like 225 point something. I don't know.
Oh, even better. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll post that up there as well, and people can kind of follow along just so they know that we're running it straight down the line. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Jackson.
Okay, later.